The sense faculties, contact, and consciousness all interact in a continuum-like fashion. One cannot function without the other. Now, if internally the eye is intact, but externally forms do not come into range, nor is there corresponding engagement, then there's no appearing of the corresponding type of consciousness. If internally the eye is intact, and externally forms come into range, but there's no corresponding engagement, then there's no appearing of the corresponding type of consciousness. But when internally the eye is intact, and externally forms come into range, and there's a corresponding engagement, then there is the appearing of the corresponding type of consciousness. Phassa, or contact, the sixth nidana, describes the contact of the sense organs and the sense objects. Contact is an important point in the chain of paticca-samuppada, as it is here that external objects begin to affect the being. Although a relatively neutral phenomenon in the Buddha's teachings, he regards contact as an impediment to the path of awakening, as can be seen in the following sutta. How is the nutriment of contact to be regarded? Suppose a flayed cow were to stand leaning against a wall. The creatures living in the wall would chew on it. If it were to stand leaning against a tree, the creatures living in the tree would chew on it. If it were to stand exposed to the air, the creatures living in the air would chew on it. For wherever the flayed cow were to stand exposed, the creatures living there would chew on it. In the same way, I tell you, is the nutriment of contact to be regarded. The seventh nidana, Vedana, or feeling, are the reactions that arise due to the contact of the sense faculties with their organs. These feelings can be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. This link in paticca-samuppada is focused on by many schools of Buddhism as the best place to destroy the continuation of samsara. Unpleasant feelings and pleasant feelings have as much potential for the creation of suffering. It is the way one reacts to the feelings, whether neutral, pleasant, or unpleasant, that can lead one to either craving, the most often cited cause of suffering in the Buddha system, or the release from suffering. These reactions are conditioned by how we perceive the sense object. If it is perceived as beautiful, pleasant sensations arise. When perceived as ugly, unpleasant feelings arise. And when we perceive a sense object as neutral, neither pleasant nor unpleasant feelings arise. Tanha, craving, the eighth nidana, which can also be translated from the Pali as thirst, is seen by many as the core bullseye in the Buddha's aim to destroy suffering, as it is noted in several Buddhist texts as a prime cause of that suffering. The Four Noble Truths, which are strongly interlinked with and can be seen on the same level as importance as the teaching of paticca-samuppada, state that the origination of stress, of which samsara is filled with, is craving. Craving can focus on any of the 6 sense media, and can take one of the 3 forms: kama tanha, sensual craving; bhava tanha, craving for becoming; and vibhava tanha, craving for non-becoming. Sensual craving is directed towards the planning and resolves on the sensual level. Becoming craving is the craving to assume an identity, and non-becoming craving is the craving for the dissolution of a previously created identity. And where does this craving, when arising, arise, and where, when dwelling, does it dwell? Whatever is endearing and alluring in terms of the world, that is where this craving, when arising, arises. That is where, when dwelling, it dwells. Upadana, clinging, is the 9th nidana. An alternate translation from the Pali of upadana is sustenance, highlighting the aim of sustaining that clinging has at its heart. Clinging can take 4 forms: sensuality clinging, clinging to views, clinging to habits and practices, and clinging to doctrines of self. Clinging can be seen as an intensification of the desire present in craving, and can happen in relationship to any of the 5 aggregates. When asked to describe the relationship of clinging to these 5 aggregates, the nun Dharmadino states, "Neither is clinging the same thing as the 5 clinging aggregates, nor is it something separate. Whatever desire and passion there is with regard to the 5 clinging aggregates, that is the clinging there." In the Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha uses a variety of analogies to describe the drawbacks of clinging, among them comparisons of clinging to the action of a hungry dog having been given a chain of scraped, meatless bones, who ties himself without gaining any strength from this object of clinging. The 10th Nidana, bhava, or becoming, is the beginning stage in the formation of a new identity, or state of being. Becoming occurs in 3 levels: kama bhava, becoming in the realm of sensuality; rupa bhava, becoming in the realm of form; and arupa bhava, becoming in the realm of formlessness. It should be noted that clinging of any sort, even for non-becoming, provides the supporting conditions for becoming. Whatever priests or contemplatives say that liberation from becoming is by means of becoming, all of them are not released from becoming, I say. And whatever priests or contemplatives say that the escape from becoming is by means of non-becoming, all of them have not escaped from becoming. Even though the Eightfold Path, the 4th Noble Truth, prescribes various levels of becoming in the practice of right concentration, the Buddha does not recommend attachment to even the most subtle of the states of becoming. Just as even a small amount of excrement is foul-smelling, in the same way I do not praise even a small amount of becoming, even for the extent of a finger snap. Jati, birth, the 11th Nidana, is a process of assumption and solidification of the identity which has its immediate cause in the process of bhava, becoming. Birth may take place on any of the 3 levels. Jati is used in reference to the physical birth of a being in a future life, as well as to the birth, that is culmination of becoming, of a particular mind or body state. Jaramarana, aging and death, is synonymous with the suffering that comes with it. It is not only aging and death that occurs in physical bodies, but the death that is inevitable in anything that has been conditioned by bhava, becoming, and jati, birth. This would include everything from the realms of sensuality to the formless realms. Jaramarana is the last in the traditional depiction of the Nidanas, but the samsaric cycle is not ended by the death specified by Jaramarana. The stress of Jaramarana is itself a conditioning factor of ignorance, which is a prime factor in the continuation of the cycle of dependent origination.